Okay, today I want to share with you my probably about a $150 to $200 enclosure I made for my Taig CNC. So I started using a Harbor Freight. It's the 30-inch, I believe, base, the wider of their cheap rolling tool cabinets. And I originally had kind of a pretty rough design, the first one, and then I completely just rebuilt it the last few days. I thought I'd kind of show you how I did it. So first thing I did was I chopped off about 4 inches or so off the height, leaving just enough for my big old school Pentium 4 computer to fit in there. So I chopped a bunch off the height to lower it down, just to lower the center of gravity so it wasn't too high. But then I was still worried about it being a little too top heavy, so I put in some bricks, which work good, just some CMU cap block for a little bit of ballast, and also it levels the computer out, so it works out really well. And so now you got your your drawers for all your accessories and stuff. There's my little Taig CNC vise. You can tell I've used the machine a lot last year or two, so there's chips on everything, but that's how it goes. And one thing I added this time around was when I cut off the legs, I had little brackets left over, so I used those little brackets to mount a little piece of plywood, so I'd have a nice little keyboard thing. I did have the keyboard in the drawer and the mouse in the drawer, but that worked okay, but it wasn't great. For my coolant system, I've got a concrete tub. I just had to trim a little bit for the Y motor there, and then I had to trim a little bit so that the table could go past on the X when it travels in extremes in the X. For the sides, I'm keeping the shower curtains. I don't love the way they look, but for cost, they're cheap enough. They actually cleaned up even though they were used. I thought they were really bad, and I thought, I got to throw these things out and get some plexiglass or something different, because I had used them and they were all gummed up. But they actually cleaned up pretty nice, so they are cleanable and reusable. So I decided just to go ahead and keep them. The nice thing is, my X-axis will travel outside of the footprint of this tub a little bit, and I didn't want to have I've seen some big, plexiglass fancy enclosures that are cool, but I don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on plexiglass, and I didn't want to really get crazy making some custom thing. I wanted this to be like a few hour project, which it really was. It's something you could do in one day. So by doing this way, you get a little bit of extension. If the X-axis travels over here, still will get most of the splashing, keep it in your tub, and you take up less of your garage space, keep it all in this one footprint of this one cabinet, which is nice. So the other thing I did was for to hold the shower for my curtain rod. Pretty simple. I just bolted a piece of 2x2, just regular piece, cut out of a piece of stud. I cut kind of a V shape. If you look, I don't know if you can tell, but I cut kind of a V shape. I just drilled a hole through here. There's just 2 /20 bolts holding it to the leg of this thing, and then I used a conduit PVC fitting, which worked perfectly to hold the base of it. And I just did a little bit of a bend. I'm an electrician, so for me, these bends are fairly simple. They're not perfect, but they get the job done. So you can do that with any conduit bender, or you could just find fittings, and that worked out pretty good. My next thing I'm going to make is a sliding door, ball bearing door, but I'm going to cut some brackets on the machine, so it's going to be all dirty after that, so I want to take the video before I did that. But I want this door to slide, because I had a removable panel. In fact, this is my old front panel here, and it was just hooked on with some wire, and I could unclip it and set it down on the ground, just lean it up against the front of the machine. It was always kind of in the way, even though it worked. So and then for my control box, what else did I do custom here? Oh, for my monitor, another piece of conduit. So conduit's cheap and it's easy to bend, not super structural, but for things like this, for holding curtains or holding a monitor, it's plenty strong and easy to work with. So I just made a little plywood plate and screwed that on there to the monitor, so the monitor's there and it's protected behind the plexi. So have to keep that kind of clean, but it doesn't splash a lot in that zone. And then to mount my, pretty simple back here to mount my control box, which is from Deep Groove. It's a Gecko 540, but in his own custom enclosure and everything. I just put an eye bolt right here. I had to drill off these things. I just drilled out the rivets and just folded the door down. Originally I had the door up and I was using it as the back of my enclosure, but I didn't love it, and this is a lot better. This is a lot cleaner the way I did it now. A lot of wires back here. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. I got my master power strip here, and then this power strip controls my coolant pump, and so this was kind of a cool little deal. I got one of these 1 gallon cans off of Amazon for $10, and I put a Harbor Freight pump down in the bottom for my coolant. And now I got a tray. This is new. I haven't even used it yet. I got a little Tupperware that I'm going to put some, what I use to catch chips is the 5-gallon paint strainer mesh. You get at Lowe's or Home Depot, and it works really good. It strains out any kind of, actually will strain out some thick tramp oil, and it also will strain out any chips or anything like that, and just lets the liquid flow through. I use the Cool Mist coolant. And so I have a switch here. This is like an override to kill the motor if I need to. But now I've got it set up so that my spindle, this comes on with the spindle control relay. So my spindle and coolant will be plugged into here, and they come on automatically. And then if I ever have an emergency, I need to stop the spindle, I can just hit that. So fairly simple. Oh, for the bottom here, all I did was I put a couple 2x4s in there. Turned out to be about the right height, and a piece of 3/4 plywood across there. I probably should have taken the pictures and video as I went, but I really didn't. And then after it was all done, and I screwed this down, screwed the machine down to the plywood. So I fastened all this to the, you can probably see the screws here. Some screws that go to the 2x4s in there that hold up, give a nice platform for the mill. And then once I was all done and I had the mill screwed down, this is kind of flexy, which is nice. So I put some shims under there to just get the pan to drain to the left. And then, oh yeah, this is an old dull hole saw I'm going to use to kind of pre-filter my coolant. I put a pipe flange on here with a threaded PVC. Camden, don't play around. And I don't know if you can see, and it just kind of comes out. It just drilled a hole here with a step drill, comes out and shoots right into my little strainer thing. So real simple. You can see got an old fish aquarium light. Camden, hold on a sec. I put this third pipe here to keep these from kind of twisting. Actually, it works really good. It made it pretty sturdy. And yeah, so my next thing I'm going to make is the front sliding. I'm going to use a couple skateboard bearings to make a sliding front plexi panel. Don't touch that, Camden. The machine's on. Watch. Show them how in MDI mode you can type M3 and then hit enter.
That's cool, dude.
You're darn right, it's cool. Now type M there, 5. Enter. And spindle off. Coolant spindle will come off. I just leave this switch on all the time. It's too hard to reach in there. So yeah, one more walk around. That's my low budget, but very functional and very effective Taig CNC enclosure. I wouldn't recommend. I mean, you could build a really nice. I've seen lots of really nice all plexi with aluminum L metal corners and everything, or wooden, but. I mean, you could spend weeks building something like that and still might have its issues. The nice thing about this, let's say you want to put a long bar, because this machine's kind of small. What if you want to machine, hold on, Camden, you want to machine a long bar, you can just kick this off to the side. You don't have to unscrew any panels or anything like that. Just kind of kick this off to the side and boom.
And you can watch TV on it.
And you could, bolt a 3 or 4 foot bar on here and machine the end of it,
And
So
you can put